In March of 2025, a YouTuber named Owen uploaded a video titled "Terrifying Abandoned 1900s Farmhouse with Power" to his channel Urbex Ontario. Owen's channel primarily focuses on urban exploration, and he frequently documents footage of him exploring various abandoned locations across North America. In this particular video, Owen decided to explore an abandoned farmhouse situated in a remote part of Ontario, Canada. As Owen began his exploration and stepped inside the house, he immediately mentioned that the structures inside were in a pretty good condition. Apart from some graffiti and crumbling walls, most parts of the house were relatively intact, and some areas even had power and functioning electronics. This indicated that the house had only been abandoned for a few years. During the initial minutes of his exploration, he also mentioned that the house had a very smoky smell. As he explored further, he discovered even more signs suggesting that someone might be living there or may have been there recently. But fortunately for Owen, he didn't hear or see anything unusual during this time. He then continued exploring and made his way into the kitchen. However, as soon as he stepped inside the kitchen, that's when he stumbled upon something truly disturbing.
It's kind of sketchy because I can smell like cigarette smoke, so I hope there's no squatters in here. Yeah, so this is the kitchen. You see that light on? This is literally still on. What is that? This? I can feel heat coming off of this. I don't want to touch it, but there's a lot of heat coming off of that. That's a fire hazard. Wow. Why is that room like tarped off? Got some tires. They're actually still in like decent shape. Oh! Do you guys hear that? I just heard banging upstairs. What the heck? What, the light is on in here? Guys, this is sketchy. Hello? Anyone up there? What is that noise, guys? Sounds like somebody walking. What the heck? That sounded like a person was up there.
After Owen heard the loud bang, he immediately went towards the stairs and tried to determine their source. During this time, he also heard noises that oddly resembled the sound of footsteps walking on the floor above him. Owen eventually called out to them, but he unfortunately didn't receive any response. But unlike other urban explorers, he didn't immediately go upstairs to investigate the noise. Instead, he tried to remain calm and rationalize the noises. He ultimately concluded that the loud bang must have been caused by a door or a window slamming due to the wind. Owen then decided to go back to his exploration. For the next few minutes, Owen moved from one room to another, and he fortunately didn't hear the noises during that time. However, as Owen was walking through one of the rooms, that's when he encountered something once again.
That is sketchy. Interesting light fixture. Oh, the wind is making so many noises. Freaking me out. Look at this. There's like a mattress here. Somebody's been squatting right here on this mattress. For sure. Yeah, I still can't believe that is on. It's like all shattered and everything. So this house was probably built between 1905 and 1920, probably. Okay, you guys had to have heard that. I'm assuming that's the wind, but I don't know, guys. It sounded like a cabinet door shutting or something. So we'll go upstairs a bit later, I guess. There's still power. Just the one light bulb still glowing. Heard that noise again upstairs. Seeing if it happens again. Oh, guys. This is sketchy. Heard it again. I heard it again. Okay, I'm getting freaked out. Some construction stuff or whatever in there. There's gotta be somebody in here. There's gotta be. What is that noise? It's like a constant banging. Oh my God, I'm so sketched out.
After hearing the loud bang multiple times, Owen had absolutely no idea if the noises were merely caused by the wind or whether a squatter or a homeless individual was actually inside the building with him. To make matters even more disturbing, Owen had already discovered a mattress and several other signs indicating that someone had recently been living in the building. If the individual was still inside, the situation could escalate quickly, especially since they probably knew the ins and outs of the house better than Owen and could easily be hiding to ambush or even attack him at any given moment. By this point, Owen was consumed with fear and anxiety over everything he'd been witnessing that day, but he eventually built up his courage and decided to go upstairs to investigate the source of the noises.
Oh my gosh. Guys, I think we gotta go upstairs first and see what the hell that noise is, because I'm so sketched out. I don't feel comfortable in the other rooms down here. Hello? Anyone in here? Coming from in here. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's this piece of plastic on the broken window. I'm ripping that out of there.
Fortunately for Owen, the noises he heard while he was walking up the stairs were indeed caused by the plastic sheet. But disturbingly, Owen had also heard multiple loud bangs that simply could not have been caused by the plastic sheet or the wind. Owen, upon realizing this detail, eventually left the room to investigate the true source of the noises. However, as he was approaching one of the rooms, that's when he made a chilling discovery.
That doesn't explain the banging. That literally sounded like somebody walking, guys. I hear it over here. It's this door. Why is that opening by itself? Why is that door moving? Why is that door moving? Bro, there's literally no wind in here. None of these windows are broken. These are all shut, these windows. You guys saw that. Oh my god, it literally just moved again. Like, all these windows are intact. The only broken window is the one with the plastic. So... there's nobody in there. It must just be the wind. I need to shut that away so it doesn't move. Oh my god. Guys, that scared the crap out of me. Okay, let's go downstairs and continue. That literally sounded like somebody walking and like shutting doors. Oh. Sorry about that. That like scared the crap out of me. Cause like there's like cigarettes and stuff here. Like somebody's definitely been squatting in here at some point.
It's evident that the door mysteriously began opening and closing multiple times. Owen, startled by the door's movement, initially froze and remained in his position. During this time, he mentioned that there was no wind coming in from any windows. When he went towards the door and opened it, he found no one inside, nor did he find an open window that could have caused the door to move. Owen immediately shut the door and went downstairs to explore the house for an additional 15 minutes. Fortunately for Owen, he didn't hear or see anything unusual during this time. He eventually ended his exploration and left the house without any harm. It's still unclear what the true source of the loud bang was or how the door was moving, along with the mystery behind whether what Owen encountered that day was paranormal. However, based on everything he witnessed during his visit, it seems very unlikely that this was paranormal. It's more plausible that the loud bangs were caused by the door slamming due to the wind or the poor condition of the door itself. Consequently, it's up to you to decide whether what Owen witnessed in the farmhouse was merely due to the wind or whether it was paranormal.
Hey, just real quick, 98% of people watching aren't subscribed. If you're enjoying this, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, and maybe drop a like too.
In September of 2015, a YouTuber named Dan uploaded a terrifying video titled Exploring Creepy Abandoned Children's Asylum to his channel. This is Dan Bell. His channel is dedicated to urban exploration, and he's been documenting footage of his bizarre encounters in various abandoned locations for over a decade. In this particular video, Dan decided to explore an abandoned children's asylum known as the Gundry Sanitarium, situated in Baltimore, Maryland. Constructed in 1880, the Gundry Sanitarium was one of the first private mental health facilities in Maryland. It played a significant role in providing essential care to those with psychiatric needs. Originally dedicated to treating nervous disorders in women, the facility later expanded its services to include care for children with acute psychiatric issues. This transition reflected the growing recognition of children's mental health concerns at the time. However, over the years, the facility faced challenges in adapting to the evolving landscape of mental health care. As a result, it was ultimately shut down in the early 2000s. Since then, the facility has been completely abandoned and has gained a reputation for being haunted. There have been multiple reports from urban explorers and ghost hunters claiming to have seen spirits of former patients. These reports often include accounts of strange noises, cold spots, and feelings of being watched. Despite all this, Dan chose to go on a solo exploration of the abandoned asylum. As he began his exploration, Dan showed his viewers the building's poor condition, with crumbling walls and ceilings. Some structures even appeared as if they could collapse at any given moment. As he explored further, he came across piles of junk and trash scattered everywhere. The first few minutes of his video went pretty smoothly, as he didn't hear or see anything unusual. However, just moments later, while exploring one of the rooms, that's when Dan encountered something truly disturbing.
Shit. Fucking battery exploded.
According to Dan, after he heard the footsteps, he didn't think much of them and dismissed them as an animal walking around the building. But disturbingly, just moments after hearing the noise, his camera's battery suddenly exploded. Dan, again thinking this was probably a coincidence, dismissed this detail. He then quickly replaced the battery and started recording again. However, as Dan was approaching the stairs, that's when his camera captured something that completely changed the course of his investigation. If you look closely at the footage, you can clearly see the shadow of someone or something hiding inside the room. But Dan was completely unaware of this detail at the time and continued exploring. As Dan went upstairs to explore the rest of the building, that's when his camera captured something once again. If you look closely at the point when Dan walks towards the door, you can see what appears to be an eye peeking out of the hole before it suddenly disappears. But Dan once again didn't notice this detail at the time. It wasn't until he reviewed the footage later that he saw the eyes peeking out of the hole. Dan, unaware of any of these chilling encounters, continued with his exploration. However, as he stepped inside one of the rooms, that's when he started hearing voices coming out of an empty room. It's evident that a fast whisper can be heard just as Dan was looking at the red stains. Although it's hard to comprehend what it said, one particular comment from Dan's original video makes this encounter even more disturbing. The comment mentions that the voice sounded like someone saying, "I was shot here." After reading this particular comment, it does sound like the voice said, "I was shot here." If this is actually the case, then this encounter becomes very alarming, given that Dan was directly looking at the red stains. This could explain why the voice said it was shot there. But again, this is merely a theory based on a comment left by Dan's viewer and has not been verified or debunked. Consequently, it remains a mystery whether what Dan experienced that day was truly paranormal or simply the result of a squatter or homeless individual. However, the mystery surrounding the Gundry Sanitarium doesn't end here. After Dan uploaded this video to his channel, he uploaded another video where he returned to the same abandoned facility about a month later to investigate further. But this time, Dan takes things to a whole new level by exploring the building alone in the middle of the night. However, little did Dan know that what he was about to encounter this time would be far worse than anything he'd faced during his previous visit.
Basically, guys, I'm trying to keep the light. Low because I don't want people who live around this building to see my light. There's a stairwell that I didn't know about. What the hell is that? It looks like it goes down really far. I don't know. Maybe in the basement.
If you listen closely at the point when Dan walks up to the stairs, you can hear a faint whisper coming from the upper levels. Although it's difficult to comprehend what the voice said, it oddly sounded like the same voice that Dan heard during his initial visit. If this actually was the sound of a man's voice, then this encounter becomes even more alarming. During Dan's initial visit, he had already seen enough signs that indicated that someone or something was inside the building. Now, hearing a man's voice strongly implies the possibility that Dan isn't alone. If someone was present in the building, potentially a squatter or a homeless individual, then the situation could escalate quickly. But Dan wasn't entirely sure he'd heard the voice or not, and eventually went upstairs to further investigate the building. For the next several minutes, Dan cautiously explored the building, and he fortunately didn't hear or see anything unusual during that time. However, as Dan was walking through one of the rooms, that's when he encountered something that effectively put an end to his exploration.
Looks like blood. Old dried up blood. Okay, I can't with this room. I really can't. I'm not going in there. Fuck that shit. Is there somebody back there? What is going on?
After Dan heard the sound of footsteps coming from one of the rooms, he immediately called out, but unfortunately he received no response. To make matters even more disturbing, just moments before Dan heard the footsteps, you can hear the same man's voice speaking and saying, "Anyone home?"
What is going on?
After hearing the voice and footsteps, Dan had absolutely no idea if someone was inside the building or whether the noises were paranormal. As a result, Dan had no interest in investigating further and ultimately decided to end his exploration, and he managed to leave the building without any harm. It remains a mystery whether Dan's experience that night was paranormal, along with the mystery of who or what was responsible for the voices, or whether the shadowy figure Dan saw during his initial visit was somehow connected to the noises. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide whether the Gundry Sanitarium in Baltimore was truly haunted or not. In June of 2023, a YouTuber named Kaylee uploaded a rather disturbing video titled "Exploring a Haunted Abandoned Psych Ward" to her channel, The Paranormal Patch. Her channel mainly focuses on urban exploration, and she often documents footage of her experiences exploring various haunted and abandoned locations across the United States. In this particular video, Kaylee decided to explore an abandoned psych ward known as the Arthur Brisbane Treatment Center situated in New Jersey. As Kaylee began her exploration, she ventured deep into the woods to reach the abandoned facility. After walking for almost 2 miles, Kaylee finally located the facility, which was split into 3 buildings. She eventually entered the first building and cautiously explored it to see if anyone or anything was inside. Fortunately for Kaylee, she found no one inside, nor did she find any signs that indicated that the building was haunted. Kaylee then left the building and went to the second facility. Similar to the first building, she found nothing except for some creepy graffiti and various pieces of abandoned furniture. Everything up to this point seemed to be going pretty smoothly for Kaylee, as the first 2 buildings she explored revealed nothing unusual. Kaylee then left that building and decided to explore the third and final facility. However, as soon as she stepped inside the building, that's when things started to take a turn for the worse for Kaylee.
Wow, look at how the floor is warping. I'm scared to step on it. Look at this, guys. Okay. Oh my god. Oh, look at the lockers. Guys, this place is so loud. Is it haunted? Because I keep hearing noises too. Okay, let's go in. So this was the schoolhouse. See if I missed anything cool. I hope I can open this. Why did it move as soon as I came close to it? Can someone explain that to me? That was freaky.
As Kaylee approached the door, it mysteriously moved and rattled right in front of her. Startled by the door's movement, Kaylee initially froze and remained in her position, but she eventually opened the door to investigate. However, when she went inside, she found nothing that could have caused the door to move. For the next few minutes, Kaylee stayed by the door to make sense and rationalize what she had just witnessed. She ultimately concluded that the door must have moved due to the wind or the poor condition of the door itself. She then dismissed this detail and eventually decided to go back to her exploration. However, as she was walking through the hallway, that's when she encountered something that sent her running out of the building.
I think it's all basically the same shit. Oh my god. Oh, spooky. Why the fuck are the doors opening and closing?
It's evident that multiple doors mysteriously opened, and just moments later, they forcefully slammed shut. Kaylee, terrified for her life, immediately ran out of the room and stared in the direction of the commotion to make sense of what she had just witnessed. Given that Kaylee had initially dismissed the door slamming as being caused by the wind, but this time this theory regarding the wind might not be true, as multiple doors were slamming simultaneously. By this point, Kaylee had absolutely no idea why or how the doors were moving on their own. As a result, she spent the next few minutes contemplating whether she should leave or go back inside to investigate. But she ultimately composed herself and went inside the building to investigate, regardless of who might be inside.
There's a basement. Oh god, guys, we gotta go back through here. Not the fucking moving doors again. Do we go towards it? Bruh. What door is doing that? Oh, I like this room. Hey, shut up back there. What door was doing that? What's this? What one is it? Y'all just watched me walk past all of that. What door is that? What door? What door is doing that? Dude, I'm leaving. I'm going through this hole. Alright, let's get out of here.
After Kaylee went inside the building to investigate, she searched everywhere, but unfortunately she found nothing that could have caused the doors to slam with such force. Disturbingly, during her investigation, she noticed even more doors moving and slamming in the same manner that she had seen earlier. By this point, Kaylee had no interest in investigating or exploring the building further, and she ultimately decided to leave the building and end her exploration. It's still unclear how the doors were mysteriously slamming, along with the mystery behind whether what Kaylee encountered that day was paranormal. But based on everything she encountered that day, the only logical explanation that comes to mind is that a squatter or homeless individual might have been inside the building with her. However, given that Kaylee didn't hear any footsteps or any other noise apart from the doors moving, this theory might not be true. Another possibility is that the doors might have moved due to the wind, but again, given that they were slamming simultaneously, combined with the fact that there were no open windows nearby, this theory regarding the wind seems less plausible. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide if what Kaylee witnessed during her visit was merely caused by the wind or if it was something far more sinister.